We've seen investments of more than $500 million in healthcare. And this has gone up from a range of about 100 million in the years before that. Most of the investments have happened in the hospital segment, in the tertiary care hospital segment, and in diagnostics. And one of the key reasons for that is that if a private equity was to give a $50 million plus check, these were the only segments that could absorb that kind of an investment. And again, most investments till now, a majority of the investments till now have happened by private equity. So there hasn't been too much of strategic interest in healthcare so far. I mean, there have been some instances around medical devices, etc., which I'll touch upon. But it's largely been around hospitals and diagnostics. Now, healthcare is kind of unique in the sense that, most challenges actually open up to opportunities. And so I'll kind of dovetail the both while speaking about it. I think one major concern that we're seeing now is, tertiary care hospital by nature is asset heavy. And Dr. Vivek mentioned about it, is that people are now talking about, returns on their investment and returns on capital employed. How replicable is this one? How scalable is this one? Because inherently, the capex investment in hospitals is world class. We compete with the best in the world, but prices for medical treatment are a fraction. And that creates that lopsidedness in terms of the returns on the investment and the replicability. But that kind of opens up the opportunity around the single specialty and other formats that we're seeing around dialysis, around IVF chains, around daycare centers, around diabetes chains, which are inherently asset light, are very much like retail healthcare models, which are replicable, scalable, low on capex, investment friendly, and can actually de-bottleneck the tertiary care hospitals. Most tertiary care hospitals, and they would agree, are not really interested in looking at swine flu and internal medicine kind of stuff, right? You de-bottleneck those, get them into the primary healthcare space, into single specialties, into the eye care stuff, and you will de-bottleneck the tertiary care and open up opportunities over there, and you see better returns at the tertiary care level. So I think this newer formats that we're seeing around healthcare is a big opportunity. Medical devices is a big opportunity. Historically, it's India has got 60% of the medical device sector is imported. Now, various reasons people attribute to why the domestic sector is not done well in medical devices. Some blame it on regulation. The import duty structure is more favorable to imports. The ecosystem around manufacturing is not great as compared to China. But again, that really is the future. And if these bottlenecks around regulation, around the ecosystem can be corrected, and the government is taking a lot of steps around it, you'll see a lot more. And that really is a solution. The domestic manufacturing around medical devices is really the solution around affordable, accessible medical device care, and it will bring down the overall cost of healthcare down. And again, address my first point around affordability and the returns on investment. Like for example, last week we had that example of Smith and Nephew investing into Adler orthopedics. So that's we haven't seen that kind of strategic investments, but I think it's that was one of the first ones that has happened, and we'll see some more of it coming up. I think along with the growth in healthcare is the ancillary services around healthcare, which will see a positive fallout. And today there isn't too much of a focus around, say, an ambulance service, which is most hospitals would have their own ambulance services and will have their own emergency numbers to call out on. But those are the services which have a big potential to cater to the growing demand, and to take it out and to really service the healthcare network. So ambulance services, health IT, for instance, to many it's limited to only an HRS system, but it's much more. And these ancillary services to healthcare would see a big opportunity.